Good day, everyone. I am your random reader, and today we'll be discussing Speedrunning the Multiverse, a lit RPG cultivation adventure by Adastra339. In this review, I'll try to spoil as little as possible, other than what you might get from description and what you can guess from the first chapter. First off, there are several tried and true tropes that you know and love. Among those will be mechanics, Eastern cultivation, reincarnation, and of course, the overpowered main character. I'll be diving into how the author portrayed these tropes, among other tidbits. Now, as for the description, as stated, this book is the main theme is a bored god that wants to do it all again, which is a very unique spin on the reincarnation trope, which is usually the main character dying, being betrayed, or otherwise forced into the reincarnation. Instead, in this one, he, like the reader, is addicted to progression and overcoming the odds, no matter the cost. On the subject of cost, this particular brand of reincarnation takes away most of the risk, unfortunately, which is like reading about someone playing a video game. It dulls some of the excitement. However, the character is emotionally invested in this particular incarnation, enough to make it work. He doesn't abandon the reincarnation trope entirely, though. As usual, the host of our character is, or was, a wastrel, useless in all things, cultivation, hunting, physical exercise. Well, he was good at whining, I guess. As for the lit RPG, or the literary role-playing game elements to the story, they are sadly minimal. While the description says lit RPG cultivation, the lit RPG elements just boil down to level up notifications and not much else. The Eastern cultivation side, however, is much more strongly leaned into and deeper. Not only is it basis for progression in this universe, but it also has deep ties to the culture as well. The names for skills, artifacts, creatures, etc., they're all based on what most modern cultivation novels would recognize. This allows for a great world building, especially with the descriptions and hints at the multiverse sprinkled in. Reincarnation stories have the unique ability of having their weak main character having vast knowledge of how the universe around them works. This gives them depth and breadth to describe and compare the world around them to what they know. This is done well, and more importantly, not overdone in this story, allowing the reader to fill in the gaps. Next, we'll discuss the characters. Honestly, I have little to no complaints on the characters. The characters were not two-dimensional. The main character is kind of a jerk to an almost shocking degree, but that fits totally to his motivations. And yet, despite that, growth is shown, subtly, that he can be not entirely self-serving, rationalizing acts of selflessness. Most of the characters break their expected roles in some ways, showing more than their cookie-cutter role would suggest. Overall, I would give the book a 6 out of 10. The story and premise are good, and so are the characters. The overpowered main character, unfortunately, did not lead to a development of the leveling and how it actually worked. The skills gained seemed to matter very little, and when a great skill was gained, we had very little chance to see him use it. And worst of all, for an action-adventure fantasy, there was very little suspense to keep me turning the page. This is harder to do with an overpowered character, like we have here, but it can be done. That being said, I did enjoy the book and had no trouble finishing it. And the world itself was fascinating to read about. The narration for the Audible version by Graham Halstead was wonderful. All the voices were unique and distinct. Well, that's all I have today. Thank you for listening to my random review.